Welcome to the JAMODI podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. What are the non-negotiables of your program?
Yeah, so I actually thought about this question a lot because I actually had to do a little bit of reflection about that, but
Nice.
I came up with five. So I think five things that, I really, really pride myself on. The first one being purpose. What's your purpose? I have players all the time, and one of the first things I ask them if they're in high school is, what's your goal? Do you want to be a good high school player? Do you just want to make the team? Do you want to play in college? I need to know that just because of, the way we're going to tailor the program and the workouts. Like I'm going to, whether you want to play in college or not, I'm going to, work just as hard for you. But, there's a different notch that you have to take, when you want to play college basketball.
The moment that you say it, the moment that it comes out of your mouth, the expectations, the way that you shape every day has to be different.
Exactly. So I need to know that, right? Because if we're doing a drill and I know you want to be in college, I might give you a couple little jabs of, hey, man, I just had a kid that's in college right now. He did this drill in, under 2 minutes. Right now, you're at 2.5. I might give you those little motivational tips as we're going through the workout. So I just need to know what your goals are. And then in terms of, the purpose, kind of, 1A, 1B would be what's the purpose behind everything we do? If we do, this drill, I want you to go, why are we doing this? When am I doing this? Ask questions. I think players sometimes think that's kind of disrespectful. Like I should never question. Always, please. There's times I make players ask me a question. Well, there's no way you fully understand this. Ask me. So I want to make sure everything we do has a purpose behind it. Whether that's, when this happens, you're going to do that, whatever the case may be. Number two, would be work ethic. I don't want to be in a gym with anybody that doesn't want to be in the gym too. And I've built up, my reputation and my brand and myself to where if you're not going to follow these five and, work ethic being one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one, it's just not a good fit. I want you, because it's partly because of how much time I spend, right?
Yeah.
Because they, players come to the gym and they see the hour workout. They don't see the 5-6 hours of film of preparing. They don't see that. So if you don't want to be there and you don't want to work hard, why am I putting in all this extra time, to make sure that you're doing what you need to do? Why am I stressing about, oh man, he or she had a bad workout today, when you're leaving the gym and you don't care? But meanwhile, I'm driving home and, I'm kind of upset about it.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes you unique though, and especially in that space, the fact that you're willing to turn away or say that this isn't a good fit, because where there's a lot of people that'll take your money, or take people's money. So I think that's special.
And that's exactly it. And I'm never, disrespectful about it. Whether it's to the, the player or to the parents, I'll just say, hey, he or she, they're not really, into it. I usually try to talk to the player first and kind of say, hey, this needs to change, or, this ends, you know what I mean? And sometimes that's all it takes, then they kind of go, oh, okay, he's threatening to not work with me. Right. So now their attitudes change because they're not used to, people talking to them like that. So if I talk to them and things don't change, then I go to their parents and I say, hey, I appreciate, you bringing them, or her, but this just isn't a good fit, and usually it's, oh no, they want to be here, and I'm like, they don't though. And again, as a parent, you should respect that because I'm saving you money. I'm not taking your money. So that's huge with me. Number three would be, you got to be on time. You have to be on time. I'm annoyingly early to everything that I do. I mean, I'm that guy. I have a dentist appointment, at 10 o'clock. I'm there at 9:30 and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, that's just how I am. It doesn't matter to what, anything. That we'll be going to, dinner and our reservations at 5:30. I'm there at 5. I'm just there early to everything. And I always tell players a good rule of thumb, 15 minutes early. Because that gives you time to, get your shoes on, stretch, do what you have to do. But if you're coming, right on time. You're coming late. Oh man, I always tell players they got 3 chances. I
Mm.
said if you're within 5 minutes of the workout beginning, if you do that 3 or more times, we're done. I was like, I mean, because my problem is it's my schedule, right? So
Mm.
if we work out, from 10:30 to 11:45, I have another player coming in,
Yep.
so now you come late, the workout's cut short, and that's not my fault. That's your fault. And again, that's something that is bigger than basketball. If you have an appointment, if you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, make sure you're there at a certain time.
Yeah,
Don't
it's a way that you can show respect, and
exactly.
then also too, it sets them up. It gives them the best opportunity to have a good workout. I always tell students, like, what it's been like, or players, what it's like when you get into a class that's 10 minutes already going. The rest of the period, you feel rushed. You feel you're behind and that you're not into it. It's the same with the workout.
Exactly. So then you're kind of throwing me off in terms of what we had planned,
Hmm.
because now we might not be able to get through everything, or like you said, everything's going to be rushed. So it's just one of them things where show up early. You know what I mean? Be early to everything that you do. If you're late, I mean, I could think of 3 players right now that I literally have not worked with because they were consistently late. And that's just something like, it's little thing that
Hmm.
adds up to a big difference. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that's a huge thing for me. Number 4, you got to buy in. With again, we just talked about everyone's different. Everyone teaches the game different. So I teach the game different than, you may teach the game. At the end of the day, we want the same result. How we get there could be different. So you have to buy into what we're going to do. So for example, even with older players, I start every workout with the mic and drill, right? I'm a huge mic and drill fan. I love it. I have different variations I do. I'm making different ones up every day, trying to get creative. But you're going to come in and you're going to do the mic and drill. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to do that. So if that's something that you're, too good for, too cool for, that's an issue because you're not bought into what we're doing.
Hmm.
So like that buy-in is huge. And that as a high school coach, if they don't buy into your program, to your culture, like it's never going to end
Yeah,
well.
there's going to be friction, no
Yeah,
doubt.
exactly. So that buy-in, it has to be there. And then lastly is just the commitment. Are you committed to, kind of like buy-in, I guess they'd kind of tie in. Are you committed to me? Meaning, I'm selfish in that I don't mind, when players bounce around and work, to get different, opinion. I don't mind that. But I like, being consistent with me, because then we have the same terminology.
Yeah.
You kind of know what to expect. We have a learning progression,
Hmm.
so are you committed to me and the way that we do things, the way that I do things? And the players that have had success with in the past have all been great in those 5 categories. And
Mm.
again, we go back to the beginning of, I live out those 5 things every day myself. You know what I mean? So it's those 5 things, they're non-negotiable for me.
I gotta ask your favorite variation of the mic and drill. What's your go-to?
I love the reverse ones. I love the reverse ones, and an interesting thing I've been doing lately is no backboard. So you got it not right over top of the rim, because
Mm.
that gives you got to put a little bit of spin on it to
Yeah,
spin it back. But if you put too much, it's going to spin out. So
I
that's
like
been
that.
something I've liked doing. And sometimes I'll have players do, hey, 10 backboard, 10 no backboard. You know what I mean? Like, keep it different, but at
Hmm.
the same time, like I said, it's every single time. Players laugh at me because I'll get a pro in the gym. And what's the first thing we're doing? Mic and drill. And
Yeah,
they laugh because they're like, oh, what did they say about that? I'm like, nothing. They did it because they know, number one, it takes about 2 minutes.
yeah, yeah,
Number two, it's a great drill.
yeah.
So yeah, I like mixing it up between backboard and no backboard. I like that.
We do a test. We call it the JAMODI skill rating. We do a test here 4 times a year, and out of the 12 different categories that are drills that they have to do, one is a four-way micing, and
Mm,
it's right hand, lefty reverse, righty reverse, and you just continue with that
I
pattern
like
for 30
that.
seconds. But it's amazing how the footwork piece of it just they lose it after one or two revolutions through, and also to, yeah, the ability to have thumb spin or pinky spin and to place it correctly. it's a great drill, and it'll never go out of style.
No, no, and it helps your finishing tremendously.
You know,
You know what I mean? I've had players that struggled, making layups, whether that, not obviously wide open layups, but just contested finishes. And the Mikan drill has helped them develop touch and develop, like you said, that spin on the backboard, different things like that. So again, that is a drill that I will die on that Mikan drill hill without a doubt.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.